And now it is my high honor and distinct pleasure to introduce to you for his inaugural address, His Excellency Charlie Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Members of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, members of the House of Representatives, Lieutenant Governor Polito, members of the Governor's Council, and the Cabinet. Welcome, folks. Chief Justice, the Judiciary, Constitutional Officers-elect, thank you for being here. Former governors, well, Swift, Romney, former Senator Scott Brown, Governor Christie, Governor Raimondo, distinguished guests, Angelino Gensucci. I've known and admired you both for many years, and I always really appreciated the joy and the integrity your husband brought to public service. There were lessons there for all of us, and thank you very much for being with us today. My fellow citizens and other distinguished guests, my thanks to all of you for being here. It is with great humility and high honor that I assume the office of Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm well aware of the authority and privileges that come with this office, but they are inconsequential in comparison to the responsibility of serving and protecting the people of this great state, and the obligation always to live up to that trust. The people invested me with the title of governor for the next 4 years, but I'm also the holder of a number of other lifelong titles that I'm proud of: son, brother, husband, father, and neighbor. Those titles will shape the values and the vision that I bring to the corner office. That Bible that I placed in my left hand on a few minutes ago is the same one my mother held from my father 46 years ago when he was sworn in as Assistant Secretary under then U.S. Transportation Secretary John Polito, former Massachusetts Governor. There is no way to thank your parents for all they've done for you except to say, Dad, I love you and know both. I am very much who I am today because of you, and I wish Mom could be here to see them. that I was a lucky guy. But after 27 years, 3 wonderful kids, I know that I am truly blessed. On behalf of the people of Massachusetts, I want to thank Governor Patrick for his service over the past 8 years and wish him Godspeed. I want to sincerely thank all our public safety officers, first responders, and corrections officers for the work that they do. Service is always challenging and at times very complicated. With very few exceptions, these men and women do it every day with great skill and professionalism. I also want to thank and salute all those men and women from the Commonwealth who have or are serving in our country's armed forces. Since 9/11, many citizens of Massachusetts have answered our nation's call to service and serve with distinction. And when men and women serve, so do their families, and we must never forget that. As governor, these men and women and their families will always be in my prayers. Mayor Walsh, I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to participate in this event today in your city. We wish you nothing but the best of luck in your service on behalf of the people of Boston in the years ahead. To the people of France, our thoughts are with you during this difficult time. Our Commonwealth is filled with hardworking, talented, and inspiring people. We're a global leader in healthcare, biotechnology, high technology, education, finance, energy efficiency, and advanced manufacturing. And we've led the way for this nation on issues ranging from healthcare reform to marriage equality. But we're nowhere near our full potential. Some of our toughest challenges have been ignored, perhaps lost amid the successes, or become the equivalent of kicking a can down the road because they're not politically convenient or easy to fix. They range from having more than 1,500 homeless families assigned to hotels and motels, to dozens of lapses in performance that are frustrating for many, and in some cases, devastating in consequence. I know we can do better. The time has come to write the next great chapter in the history of this great Commonwealth. To build on what makes us great and get much better at what doesn't. Lieutenant Governor Polito and I have recruited a talented, diverse, experienced, and bipartisan cabinet staff. They approach their mission with a passion and a thoughtfulness to make Massachusetts great, and they understand that policy pronouncements without follow-through amount to empty promises. Former Mayor Polito taught us all many valuable lessons. He believed government was about high ideals, but he also equally believed that basic services mattered and that every detail counted. When people have to wait for hours to conduct a simple transaction at the registry, they're not being served. And when thousands of families continue to be confused and let down by the valve connector, we're not paying attention to the details. Those are about 2 examples. We will challenge the status quo. We will look for recognize they may not always work. And when that happens, we'll acknowledge it, learn from it, and try again. I believe our actions will be heard in many ways, but the loudest of these actions will initially be in dealing with an immediate budget deficit, building a job-creating economy everywhere in Massachusetts, closing the achievement gap in education, confronting opiate addiction, and revitalizing our urban centers. The state's budget. No one understands better than I do that our Constitution requires that it be balanced. That responsibility now rests with us. History will record that a budget deficit exceeding $500 million is being transferred to our administration. If we're honest with ourselves, we can't blame this deficit on a lack of revenue. We have to recognize that this is a spending problem. And that dealing with it now will make balancing next year's budget that much easier. We will hold the line on taxes. We're already demanding enough from our hardworking people. We will help cities and towns to fulfill our promise to end the cuts and local aid. Otherwise, everything's on the table. And we look forward to working with House Speaker DeLeo, Senate President Rosenberg, and members of both legislative branches to close this gap. And while there are efficiencies to be gained and structural changes to be made, there's no doubt we have to make difficult decisions, and we will work collaboratively to do so with great sensitivity and careful judgment. But growth is the biggest solution to any budget problem. You have a 5.8% unemployment rate here in Massachusetts. That's a cold-hard statistic that ignores the 200,000 people seeking work, the hundreds of thousands of underemployed, and the tens of thousands who have dropped out of the workforce altogether. And there's no single initiative that can start and sustain a job-creating economy. But there's clear evidence that we're too complicated, too expensive,